Hi everyone, I hope you guys are all having a fantastic and wonderful day. Today, I thought that since spring is in the air, it's the perfect time to do the Love Hearts post Valentine's Day book tag. First, I would like to thank Gina at the Library Mouse for tagging me in this video, and also a special shout out to What's Just Reading for creating this tag to begin with. And as always, their videos, channel links will be in the description. And let's just head right into the video. Heading right into the first prompt, it is I Love You. What is my favorite all-time romance book? This is going to have to go to Love Theoretically, and it is probably one of the first romance books I read when I got back into reading, and this hit all the right spots. The scene where the female lead runs off into a snowstorm and the male love interest runs after her, that scene is perfection, and it is perfect, and it is what I still think about as one of the most romantic scenes in my head because of everything that leads up to it, and the crash and the burnout and the fallout. And this book really didn't have that maddening third act breakup, which is why I love it so much. But I will have to say, again, it's one of the first few romances that I read when I got back into reading, and I have not reread it since. So I'm curious when I do a reread if it'll still feel the same or it will be dropped down a couple notches. But if it's not this, I genuinely don't know what book it'll be. So I think by default, it still is going to be my favorite book of all time with anything related to romance. Prompt 2 is Be Happy. What is a book that makes me happy every time I read it? I have to say, I'm not much of a rereader. So as far of books that I have reread just in the past couple of years alone, literally one, literally only one book. And it's not a romance book, and it's not something that I would say makes me happy. So I'm going to go with an answer that I think I will be happy and enjoy. And that is going to go to Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez has slowly become one of my favorite auto-buy authors. And this book hits it right out of the park with the characters, the depth of the characters, and how she's able to connect back to characters in the other companion novels in the adjacent world of Just for the Summer. This book has such great character depth, character growth, and I really like the healthiness of the relationship in this book in particular. I thought that the way Abby Jimenez handled the relationship in this, while both of them deal with their own personal struggles and trauma, she's able to handle it so neatly and nicely. And it really felt like she did her research for this book. And it made me really happy to see that. It made me really happy to see that a good representation of a healthy relationship without the messy third act breakup. So I know that the next time I reread this book, I am going to enjoy it just as much, if not more, than I did the first time. Prompt 3, Date Me, a book character that I would date. If you know me, you know that the men in my books are not real life date material. It'll be quite suspicious if I was in a relationship with them, and I would need y'all to slap me out of it because my men are toxic. Like, they are walking red flags, but it's okay because they're in books and I can fantasize about them because they're not real. I have a good understanding that something might be acceptable in books and in real life it isn't. And I'm happy to say that. But the character that really stood out to me is going to have to be Jacob from Yours Truly. I talk about him again and again on this channel, but if I were to date someone, I would want someone who would fit my personality, mesh with me, and I would understand their personality as well so that we would work as a couple. And Yours Truly really fits the bill. He is an introvert. He doesn't like crowded spaces. He doesn't like to be around a large gathering of people and all of that. And I can totally relate and understand that. Being an introvert myself, I'm a social introvert. I can meet up with my friends, yap, and talk for hours and hours on end. And then afterwards, I need to cocoon back into my safe space, aka my bed, read books, video game, do my own thing until my social battery recharges. And that's something that I really relate with to Jacob in this book. So I think Jacob would be the most ideal and perfect type that I would actually date in real life. Prompt 4 is text me, would I date a non-reader? I'm technically already married to one. I'm married to my husband, and he still hasn't finished the second book of the Percy Jackson series that we have been trying to buddy read for the past year. Literally, yeah, I think it's been a year. I read the first book in March or April of 2024, and that was in my travel reading vlog. So it has been a year and he has not read the second book yet. And I really think he only read the first book because we were traveling a lot. So there's a lot of downtime for him to pick up a book to read. So yeah, I mean, I'm married to one. However, I would like to note that he was an avid reader as a child, and I did pick up quite a bit of books from his childhood home. And while he doesn't read traditionally published novels, that man will devour like a 200 chapter manga manhwa in one sitting. So I still consider him as a reader, but maybe not a reader in the traditional sense. So the next prompt is Dream On, which is what is my favorite romantic setting in a romance book and what would be my ideal date? I don't really remember specific scenes in a lot of books, but I think the most romantic date idea would go to Filthy Rich Vampires in a specific scene where our main male lead shows our female lead this special little nook, a piece of history in France that is kept away from the masses and reserved for the elites, and in this case, vampires and their special companion. And I really enjoy the act of having new experiences with your significant other. I really enjoy the act of your significant other showcasing you a secret hideaway place or a place that they really like. So I'm gonna have to go with that scene in Filthy Rich Vampires. And also bonus if there's food involved. Moving right along to the next prompt, it is Kiss Me, which is my favorite romantic scene in a book. My favorite romantic scene is hard to answer because I have to genuinely say that once I read a book, 90% of it will go into a memory frame of my brain called a black hole and nothing gets out of there. But the only scene that comes to mind is going to have to go to, once again, Abby Jimenez, yours truly. This particular scene has to do with when our female lead realizes that our male lead has social anxiety, doesn't really like to be around crowded people and places, and finds him in a broom closet, coat closet, facility closet, I don't know, some sort of closet. And he was just eating and sitting there. And I really, really like that scene. It just shows the mutual understanding of each other and the respect they show to each other, realizing that this is something that he's comfortable with and she's willing to meet him there just to connect with him, to get to know him, and realizing that his preferred way of communicating with her is through letters, and they communicate with each other through letters. Like that scene is so romantic. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. So hands down, that is definitely an all-time favorite romantic scene that lives in my head rent-free. The next prompt is let's party. Which three book characters would I invite to a party and why? Well, we already have something similar from my reader's profile tag, but I'm gonna go with a fun answer for this, and I'm gonna go with some villains in my manhwa. The first one up is going to be Roxana from Roxana. We have Penelope from Villains Are Destined to Die, and then we have Inez from The Broken Ring. Why, you might ask? Because these badass girlies are manipulative, they are smart, and they are calculating, and I would love to party with them, get some of their vibes, get some of their advice, and maybe help plan for the demise of my worst enemy. I don't know who my worst enemy is, but I want to have one just so we can plot something against them. It's a fun answer. I think sometimes we need to mix it up a little bit here and there. And honestly, I really like those three characters. Moving on to the next book, it is You Rock, a romance book you would recommend to everyone. And once again, Abby Jimenez is at, I want to say 4 for 4 now with Just for the Summer. I'm gonna have to recommend anyone who's looking for a romance book to dabble yourself into, Just for the Summer. Anyone who is a seasoned romance reader, Just for the Summer. I think this book is a great get-in card for romance. If you're not particularly a person who enjoys romance or haven't found the romance that speaks to you, because the character and the character development in this is fantastic. This feels like a character-driven novel along with romance. The romance plays a part in the character development, and I really like that. I think while this book does market itself to be more of a romance book, I feel like it has a good amount of sustenance where you're following the character and you're following their life and you see the trauma that they go through and then you see how they move on and move past it. And the way everything is handled is very mature. This is really something that you can see happening to other fellow friends or acquaintances because it's so realistic. And I think that really helps with the enjoyment of romance novels. If you're someone who's just not really into romance or haven't found the right kind of romance, generally romance can go in either direction. We have so many different ranges in terms of love and romance, and this is a really realistic depiction. And I feel like those who may not enjoy romances a lot because of how unrealistic it is, I think this does a fantastic job of portraying adults falling in love. The next prompt is Be Mine, a book that you really want to own or read. And this one is going to come at none of your surprise, and I'm still praying and rooting for it. And it is going to have to be the Broken Ring, specifically the printed English edition. Because yes, when I went to Korea, you bet your ass that I saw this on a bookshelf and I was like, I need to get it. I need to get it. I need to get all the volumes that are available because I really, really love this novel. Well, I guess this one in particular is a graphic novel, manhwa. I'll absolutely eat this up. I think the storytelling is fantastic. I think the regression aspect of it is extremely unique. And I think the characters have so much depth to them. So again, really praying that the West will traditionally publish this in English. The English translation do exist officially. I'm hoping they just compile it and create a manhwa like they did with Under the Oak Tree. I'm really happy that I'm starting to see a lot of manhwa mangas being traditionally published in America, officially licensed and physical format, so I can really own it. So I'm just over here rooting for my manhwa to one day make its debut in America, and I will be its first buyer. I will pre-order everything because look, look at this artwork. They are so adorable and cute. I like so adorable, so cute. And the characters, I really love the character. I love the depth of the character and how dark the series is while also maintaining that lightheartedness throughout the series. So praying for a day where it comes in the printed English format. And that concludes the Love Hearts post Valentine's Day book tag. And before I wrap up this video, I wanted to tag some others who I know also really enjoy romance books as well, with the first one up being Chelsea at Libraries and Lattes, and then Nat at Nerdy Nat Reads, and finally Lauren at Happy Haunts Library, mostly because she reads monster romance. And I really want to know what are her answers to this tag. Of course, as always, no pressure to y'all if you guys don't want to do the tag. I just thought it would be really fun to hear about everyone's favorite romance books coming from a romance girly who needs recommendations on recommendations on recommendations. And of course, if you want to do this tag, go ahead and do it. Consider yourself tagged. And I think I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the very end of the video. And if you guys want to listen to me read my 47,000 word count Twilight fanfiction, hit the subscribe button because that's what I'll be doing at 1,000 subscribers. Otherwise, a like and a short comment will go a really long way on my channel. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!